As the top business broker in the nation for the most closed transactions last year as well as the last 5 years in a row, I've closed a lot of deals, but I've seen a lot of deals fall apart. I see a reoccurring theme that happens over and over in the deals that fall apart that owners do to sabotage their own transaction. When it comes to selling your business, stakes are high. If you make a mistake when selling your home, the property has little to no value that's been affected. You can quickly find another buyer, put it back on the market, and close the transaction. But if you do things wrong when selling your business, the valuation can be significantly impacted. Be aware of these 5 deal killers so that you have the highest chance of successfully selling your business when the time's right for you. Hi, I'm Trent Lee. I've sold over 600 businesses in the last 5 years, and I've been named the #1 business broker in the country for the most closed transactions. I make these videos so that you'll learn about what you can do to better prepare yourself so that when the time is right for you, you'll think about hiring me to help you sell the business. Deal killer number 1, telling the employees before the sale closes. Your aunt may be the receptionist, your best friend's wife might be the manager, so it's understandable that you might feel like you need to share it with a little bit with someone before the transaction's closed, but whatever you do, don't do it. Wait until the very end. It's just too risky. I've personally seen this kill more deals than one when a well-intentioned business owner quietly pulls a trusted employee aside to inform them so that they're not caught off guard, and the key employee might end up quitting. They might promise to keep it confidential, not tell anyone, and word gets out, and before you know it, the entire staff is worried and looking for new jobs. So no matter the reason you think you need to tell the employees before closing, as a rule, just don't do it. Deal killer number 2, allowing the potential buyer to work in the business prior to closing. It's almost never a good idea to allow the potential buyer to work with you in the business before closing. I've personally seen this ruin a lot of deals. In a few days, the new buyers feel totally overwhelmed, confused, they're worn out, they're not fully prepared to take over the business. I've actually had buyers call me a few days after closing, worried that what did they get themselves into? But it all works out in time. They get used to running the day-to-day operations. So my recommendation is wait until closing before you actually start training and transitioning the new buyer. That way, as they work to take time to get accustomed to the day-to-day operations, they've already bought the business and they can't back out. Deal killer number 3, thinking you can handle the transaction on your own. All too often, I've seen buyers and sellers think they get along really well, so they try and avoid professional help to handle the deal, and they handle it on their own. I can tell you countless horror stories of different legal problems buyers and sellers have run into with this do-it-yourself mentality. You need a professional who's experienced in small business transactions or mergers and acquisitions. It could be a business broker, an attorney, a CPA, as long as it's someone who knows how to close transactions and go through the process. That will help get you through the legal compliance, the deal structure, and closing the transaction as smooth as possible. There is little benefit to handling the transaction by yourself, but there's enormous downside. Deal killer number 4, telling your suppliers or vendors before you close. This one can be tricky, as some businesses are dependent on one or more suppliers, and the buyer will want to ensure that the terms the business has been used to will carry over and continue. Instead of trying to go to them days before you sell, only to find out that they won't honor the same terms, they won't work on the same conditions that you've had. Maybe you've got a grandfather agreement and there's some sort of clause that doesn't make the contract assignable. You want to make sure you have contracts with your vendors and suppliers and that those contracts are assignable. The time to do this is years before selling, not days prior to selling. I've personally seen owners go to key suppliers a day or two before closing the transaction, only to find out that that contract won't be valid for the new buyer. And all of a sudden now the transaction's in question because rates have changed, the terms have changed, and that then affects the valuation of the business. Deal killer number 5, not being prepared to defend your valuation and not having clean due diligence records. You have a buyer and the buyer's made an offer. Now comes the real test. Can you validate and defend your asking price? A buyer will expect to do a fair amount of due diligence on your business and confirm the revenue, the expenses, the contracts, the vendor relations, all of that. If you claim that your business does a certain amount of gross and net income, you'll need to have the due diligence documents clearly and accurate to prove and verify this. Most business owners can easily prove their gross revenue, but buyers rarely buy a business on gross revenue. You need to have clean records and all of your expenses to validate exactly how much profit is left over each year. That's really what a buyer is looking for. Sloppy financials, poor record keeping, and not using a professional to keep your books organized, accurate, and keep the business as profitable as possible is the top deal killer that I see. Subscribe to this YouTube channel, learn the best ways to prepare, to sell, and maximize the value of your business. I look forward to working with you one day. Thanks. Take care.